Hello and welcome to my channel Making Crafts. Today I am back with the Sunny Studio stamp set and it's called Captivating Camelias. Earlier in the month I made a video showing you how I made a couple of cards using this stamp set, and so today I'm going to show you a technique that I found, how I embossed these flowers, and I'm also going to show you how to make a Mother's Day card using this stamp set. So first I want to show you the Easter card that I made, and here are some of the flowers that have been heat embossed. And I love the glaze effect, and I love the look that it gives this flower. So I want to show you how I did that. And then if you want the measurements and the sketch on how to do this card, this came from Not Too Shabby blog. If you go on the Not Too Shabby blog, each month they host a giveaway, and it's a card challenge. And so this month's challenge is to use this card sketch to create a card and then just enter into the challenge. And so be sure to create a card before the end of the month and enter the challenge for this month. And so this month the sketch tells you, in the sketch, Teresa has drawn out everything that needs to be done as far as the measurements. She gives you the measurements for each piece in this. The only measurement or thing that I added differently was this little white piece, and this is from Lawn Fawn, and it's just the scallop die, and it's one of the next to smallest dies in that set. But really today I want to show you how I do these flowers. So I'm still using this press to do these flowers. I found it the easiest for me, especially with my broken finger. And if you're able to stamp and press really good, and get a good impression with the first stamp, then you would not need to use this platform, your stamping platform. But for me, this is the easiest way. So I'm going to stamp one of the flowers for you and show you how I heat emboss it, because it's not how you kind of would do other flowers or other stamps. You would just heat emboss. You would think that you need to heat emboss each layer, but you do not need to do that. So let me show you what I did. So for this project today, for the flower, to show you how I heat emboss them, I'm going to be using Memento Paris Dusk, Memento Summer Sky, and then I'm also going to be using the black archival ink, Jet Black from Ranger, and then I will be using some clear embossing ink as well. So I want to start out, and I know this seems kind of strange to use the black in the flower, but it really makes it beautiful. So I'm going to start out with stamp 1A. So let's just put that on our paper. And so for our first impression, we're just going to use our Paris Dusk. And we're just going to press down. And then I'm going to do the Paris Dusk twice. And you get a fairly dark blue, but I need it to be just a little darker, so I'm just going to add just a little bit of black ink to that. And that will darken up this layer. So you can see it's not totally black. It has a navy look to it, and that's exactly what I was wanting. So then I'm going to take stamp 1B. I'm just going to line it up. And I find that this is the easiest way for me to line these up as well. If I was stamping it with a stamping block, it's harder to get it lined up for me. So this makes it a lot easier. So there we go. And if you saw my little card move, so before I stamp it, I want to lay it back over. So then I'm going to stamp with the Memento Paris Dusk again. And this time I'm not going to use the black ink, and we'll have a different color, because it will just be the blue without the black in it. I'm going to stamp that twice. Then I'm going to come back with stamp 1C, and I'm just going to line it up, and then I'm going to stamp it with the Memento Summer Sky. And I'll probably stamp it twice. Yes, it needs another layer to that. So next, I'm just going to bring stamp 1D out, It's our last one. It's our 4th stamp. And so we're going to take the last stamp and we're going to layer it up on here. So you just want to line everything up. Okay, so once we have that one lined up, we're just going to add some clear embossing ink to it. And I'm going to do the clear embossing ink twice. So once we get our second layer of the clear embossing ink, now we just want to add our clear embossing powder. And so stamp 1D pretty much covers the whole flower so that you can emboss the whole thing. And that way you don't have to, I'm kind of slow and I'm always afraid my ink's going to dry out before I add my embossing powder. So that way you don't have to worry about that. So now we'll just use our heat tool to emboss it. And look how vibrant it makes the colors. I really love how that turns out when you heat emboss it. I don't know if you can see the shine on camera, but it really does add, there you can see a little bit of it come across there, but it really does add to the colors, and then it keeps them vibrant like this. Even once it's dry, the colors will stay vibrant like that. So, and I really love that you can just use the last stamp, 1D, to stamp it, and it embosses the entire piece. And that way you don't have to worry about embossing as you go or embossing each layer or getting it done fast enough so that the layers don't dry before you add the embossing powder. So I love how that turns out. So I wanted to show you how to do that. And then also, if you want to know how to create this card, it's not the exact papers on the site, but it will tell you the measurements for all of the pieces on this card. So you can use whatever paper that you have and match it to the flowers that you create, and then create a card like this. So to get started on the next card, I'm going to be using a piece of white cardstock that I cut to 2.5 by 5 1/4. And so what I want to do is, before I do anything to this piece of paper, I want to stamp my sentiment on it. So I'm just inking it with some Tuxedo Black Memento ink. Typically when I do my sentiments or my wordings, I will stamp it twice, but we will see if I need to. If it's crisp and clear the first time, I don't, but yes, I'm going to do that just a little bit more. There we go. So now we have our sentiment ready. Now that we have our sentiment stamped, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to run this through my Sizzix Big Shot and use an embossing folder to add just a little design to it. So I've gone ahead and run this one through my embossing folder, and I like doing the sentiment first because you can see it's on there and it didn't have any issues with it. Once this is embossed, it's going to be harder to stamp it on there, I would think, to get it even. And then I went ahead and cut a strip of dark pink paper to 1.5 by 5 1/4. And so I've also gone ahead and stamped up several flowers. And I just used 4 different color pinks that I had, starting with the darker and then working my way down to a very light pink. And these ink pads that I used are very old, and these colors aren't available anymore, so I haven't listed those out. And I've also went ahead and stamped the little buds. So when you add this background piece to your card, you're just eyeballing it so that you have the same amount of space around it, the top, side, and bottom. Going to gently press that down, and then I'm just going to add some glue to my dark pink piece. It's almost a reddish piece, but it's a dark pink, almost burgundy, I guess. And for this one, I don't know if I said, but I just used some dots embossing photo for it. So I'm just going to add it right. You're just going to line it right up against the one before, and I may just go over the edge just a little, so that everything is even. I'm just going to eyeball it here. I just want a border around each one. Okay. So that's fairly simple. This is a very easy Mother's Day card to create. So then we just want to lay out our flowers, our camellias, before we start gluing, because we want to be sure we get them so that they do not cover up our wording and that everything lines up on the line here. So I'm just going to I want to stagger them back and forth as well and going different directions. Like, be sure, I don't want to point all the flowers the same direction, and I don't want to point the buds the same direction either. So I'm thinking this one needs to come down here, which means this one's going to have to be more so there we just have them staggering in and out, and I think that's going to look good. I may want this one. So you want to cover up that center line as well. So now I'm going to put some foam tape on the back of the flowers, and I have it kind of laid out like I like it. So sometimes when I have a layout like this, the way I like it, I'll just take a snapshot with my iPad or with my phone, so that way I don't have to fiddle with it when I'm ready to glue it. So if you have trouble remembering where everything was, that's a way to do it, is to just go ahead and take a snapshot of it. Technology can be a good thing when we're crafting sometimes to help us out. And so I've already cut down with a knife for another project. I have cut down some of this tape because I needed skinnier pieces for that project, and so it still has some of those cut lines in it, which is fine. I'm still going to be able to use it. Sometimes I need it smaller, so I just take an X-Acto knife and trim it down. Okay, so I'm just going to start with the top one and work my way down. And I am going to use my picture that I took earlier so that I know where everything goes and I don't have to wonder. So just want to press really good. And I'm just going to add each flower and work my way down. I've really enjoyed working with these flowers this month. There's so many cards you can make with this one stamp set. I do like when I get a stamp set to be able to use it for more than one project. I like to be able to have different applications for it, not just what it was intended for, but to actually use it for other things as well. And so this one is, I thought, very versatile, that I could use it for different type cards. You know, I've used it for Easter cards. I've also used it for now a Mother's Day card, and before I used them for birthday cards in my previous video, and I will link to that video below so you can see it, because I really did love how those birthday cards turned out. They were really quick and easy to make, but I thought this very pretty too, so they were a good way to make up some birthday cards in advance so you'd have some on hand. Well, I pressed all that down, and I like how that looks. And this one I did have to move over a little further because of my Mother's Day, and I'm okay with that because I want it to feel like the flowers are just sort of staggering and growing up through there. And I don't think I want to add any more flowers anywhere. So I like how that looks. So now I'm just going to add a few more little embellishments. I want to go ahead and add some pearls to this card. I know my lights are washing it out. It's hard for you to see, but the texture really does add to the card, I think. But I think I would like to add some pearls over to the side here. I'm just going to add some little flat-backed ivory ones. So they're kind of white, kind of ivory. And I think I will mix up the sizes. Let's just lay them out here and see. I think adding these to cards just really adds to them, to add these little pearls. It adds something to them. So this set that I have has 3 different sizes. So that's what I'm just going to scatter the sizes down through the side here. Try not to get any pattern in it, but just making it look more random than anything. I think right in here though. And maybe a itty bitty one right here. So I do like that. So let me just press all those down. They already come with glue on the back, so I think they'll be okay. If not, I can add some more glue to them, but just pressing them down. And do I need one more? Maybe up in here. Okay, so I really like how this has turned out. This is a very quick and simple card to make. Really, the most time you spend is stamping these, but if you use the platform like I did, you can get quite a bit out in no time at all. So here is the card we made today, and then also we did create this flower, and what I do is I just fussy cut around it. Typically, if you'll look on mine, I leave a little bitty white border on them, but you can cut right up to the lines if that's easier for you and they look just as good. For some reason, I do like the white borders on mine, so that's why I leave them. Well, I hope that you have enjoyed hanging out with me today as I created this card, and I will link below to the blog post with all the measurements on how to create this card, and I will link below to the cards that I made last time using this stamp set. Well, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye.